Sharon was pissed off, like really pissed off, at me, her husband, Frank Miller. How did I know she was mad at me? Easy. As I was driving us home from a party thrown by our friends and Hank van der Linde, she was sitting in the car all scrunched up in her seat, as far away from me as possible, with a face that could curdle milk. Why was she so mad at me? Well, to be honest, I think she had every right to be. I totally screwed up and ruined her night. What a jerk, right? I should be ashamed of myself for embarrassing my wife, the mother of my... Man, I messed up big time with 3 kids, shame on me. So, here's what happened. I embarrassed my wife and ruined her night by pulling out the wrong key. You see, there's this weird part to the parties that the Wanderings host, and my dear wife suddenly wanted to join in. Unfortunately, I wasn't feeling it at all. We had never been to one of their parties before, but my wife had heard about them and got us an invite through a friend of a friend. The problem was, after 10 years of marriage, she forgot to mention to me which party we were actually going to. So, last night was supposed to be just like any other party, but no one bothered to give me a heads up about the crazy key-swapping game they had planned. Turns out, all the wives had to throw their house keys into a bowl, the husbands would pick a random key without looking, and then spend the night with that wife in the bedroom for some naughty fun. When I found out about this last minute, I was freaking out. I've never experienced anything like that before. I was so mad at Sharon that I just grabbed her hand and dragged her to the kitchen. Did you know this party was gonna turn out like this? She smirked at me and said, yeah, I did. But you didn't think to tell me before we got here. No, because I knew you wouldn't be down with it. But you always have a choice. Damn right I won't agree to this. Let's get out of here, Frank. We can't leave now, that would be rude. It'll put me in a tough spot. Plus, it's just 4. Hey, one night of excitement might spice things up in our marriage. I'm not really feeling this kind of excitement though. Let's just apologize and leave. We could use a bit of thrill, Frank. I need a bit of excitement for once. I want to feel like a woman, not just a wife and mom. It's just one night, and it won't happen again. Plus, I already put our house key in the bowl, so we can't back out now. It's not too late, just look at me. And with that, I took her hand and practically pulled her along. I led her back to the living room where everyone was huddled around a bowl full of keys, getting ready to pick their date for the night. Sharon tried to break free from my hold, so I let her go and walked over to the bowl. I loudly said that I didn't know about this part of the night's fun and I wasn't about to share my wife with any of them. I started digging through the bowl until I found the key to our house that my wife had secretly put there, the one with the red plastic cover on the top. I snatched it up. I scooped out of the bowl and spun around to see the shocked party crowd. I told them I had no clue about the rules of this shindig before my wife dragged me here. I don't mess with cheating, and my marriage vows mean everything to me. Some people grumbled and shot me dirty looks, but I didn't give a damn. I locked eyes with my wife, who was fuming. Sharon, it's decision time. Either you come with me and leave this craziness behind, or you stay here and never see me again. Your call. Everyone was staring at my wife, her face all red with embarrassment. She looked pissed for a sec. Sorry, guys, my hubby was being a jerk. I'd stick around, but it's probably best we bail. She grudgingly and angrily came with me to the car. You're a selfish, unbearable idiot, she shouted at me. How could you humiliate me in front of everyone? We are never getting invited back there. Humiliate you? What about how you embarrassed me? Why didn't you tell me about your plan to hook up with someone else tonight? You could have picked another wife so we could both have a good time. I was shocked by what I heard. I don't want another woman, Sharon. I saved that special stuff for my wife. It's kinda disappointing to find out after 10 years of marriage that you wanna sleep with someone else. It would just be a one-time thing, Frank. Out of all the nights we've spent together, it would just be one. Hey, so I know you're asking for a night with someone else after all these years of me being a good wife. I can't believe you're actually serious about this, but I can see how much it means to you. Yeah, Frank, it's true. I've been wanting this for a while now. Just one night where I can let loose and not have to worry about being a wife and mom. I just wanna have some fun, feel desired, and have some wild sex with another guy for a few hours. You mean the one night where I can have sex with someone other than you? So, your husband, her. I think I hit the brakes, did a 180 in the middle of the street, made my tire squeal as I sped back towards Vundalen House. Sharon screamed when I was like, "Ooh, what are you doing, Frank? If having sex with another man for one night means that much to you, Sharon, then maybe you should just do it." I stopped in front of their house and it turns out all the other cars were still there. Looks like it's not too late for you to join in, so get out, and enjoy your night, have sex with them. There's this weird dude, I hope you meet someone with a big package who can satisfy you in ways I can't. Frank, this is just some crazy idea, something different. Your package is just right and you always know how to please me, but we can't do this alone. We both have to get involved, spend the night with someone new. I already told you, I'm not down for this. Sharon, I've never been unfaithful and I won't sleep with another woman until we are done. Married, what does it even mean? It means exactly what I said, it's time to make a decision, Sharon. So if you're gonna do this, get out and go hang with your cheating friends. I'm sure they'll welcome a pretty lady like you into their little group, even if you ain't got a man with you. Sharon put her hand on the doorknob and hesitated. I could see her thinking hard. Her voice softened, could you come pick me up in the morning, Frank? You know, wherever I end up crashing, I'll give you a call and let you know where I'm at. Damn, it would be really nice and mean a lot to me. No way in hell. But I'm sure your new fling will be happy to take you out after he screws you all night. It sounds so gross when you put it like that, Frank. He won't be my boyfriend, he'll just be a guy I hook up with to try something new for one night. That's all. I love you, Frank. You're the only man I've ever loved and will ever love. Do you seriously believe that? There's no way you can love me and go through with your plan. Let me explain. Wait, so you're saying you're just looking for someone to hook up with, and then some other guy will be able to get you pregnant? That's messed up, Frank. I'm on birth control, so that's not gonna happen. But yeah, it could be kind of thrilling to spend a night with someone new. Have you ever thought about what it would be like to see someone's face for the first time while you're with them? It would be a whole new experience, new sensations, everything so fresh and different. Let's see where this takes us, babe. Things are gonna get better from now on, so just relax and enjoy the new guy and the new feelings he brings you, Sharon. I hope you know what you're getting into. It's just one night, Frank, it's not a big deal. Even a second would be too much. We have the rest of our lives together ahead of us. We'll never have anything together again if you go through with this. I'm asking you, I'm begging you for the last time, Sharon, don't do this. You're overreacting, Frank, and I'm sticking to my guns. I won't let you ruin my night. I just want to have a good time. Listen, I'm moving on with someone else and there's nothing you can do about it. You just gotta deal with it, got it? Tomorrow morning, I'll be all in with them and make you forget about everything. You'll be ancient history by tomorrow morning. I won't want you anymore after you let another guy have what I thought was mine. You're just being dumb now. I belong to you and you'll come to realize that. I'll make sure of it. Sharon, look at me. I'm dead serious, if you get out of that car and go back to that house, it's done between us. Your little fling will cost you your husband and your family. No way, Frank, that ain't gonna happen. I won't allow it. We are married and always will be. We belong together. I love you and I know you love me too. We'll get through this, just wait and see. I'll make it up to you 1,000 times over. You're breaking my heart, Sharon. Don't act like a spoiled brat. Just think of it as an adventure with me. Frank, you're full of it again. You think you can just talk nonsense and get away with it? Well, I'll set you straight in the morning. Do you really think I would come near you after you've been sleeping around all night? I'll take care of that. I never knew you were so dumb. Get out of here. Frank's words shocked her, but she opened the car door and started to leave. See you in the morning, Frank, I shook my head sadly. I was like, no way, Sharon, I ain't gonna see you. She tried to close the door, but I hit the gas pedal and made the tires screech for like half a block as I drove off. I peeked at her in the rearview mirror as I sped down the street. She looked so lost, just standing there on the side of the road, mouth wide open and not moving at all. I turned the corner and she was gone from my view. In my heart of hearts, I hoped she'd call me right then and admit she messed up and wanted me to come back. Man, I tried to go back and get her, but she didn't want me. I was crushed, tears running down my face, couldn't see straight. My wife chose some random guy over our 10 years together. She probably thought I'd forgive her after a few days of sulking, but she was dead wrong. My dad always said, if a woman is really considering hooking up with another guy, she's already mentally done it. And if a married woman is seriously thinking about it, she's already broken her vows. It's one thing to see a hot guy and wonder how he'd be in bed, but if she's plotting how to make it happen, she's already betrayed you. As much as it hurts to admit, this thought destroyed our marriage and it's time to move on. The biggest tragedy in all of this is our 3 kids, especially 9-year-old Jocelyn. Man, I can't imagine life without my 8-year-old Rebecca and 4-year-old Frank Jr., but Sharon really messed up and she's gonna pay for it. The kids were at my mum's for the weekend, so I had some time to think about what to do next. I drove around for a while, hoping Sharon would call me to come get her, but it was obvious she had made her choice. I finally made up my mind and headed home. As soon as I pulled into the driveway, my phone rang. I was hoping. It was Sharon who hit me up, but the caller ID said otherwise. I still picked up the call though. There was music and laughter in the background, and some dude named Frank told me he's Rick Wilson from the party you dipped from. Your wife gave him your number, hoping he could talk some sense into you. She's a hottie and all hyped up for tonight. That's all she told him. You're one lucky dude, man. Every guy here wishes they were in your shoes. So, this guy got her key and she keeps going on about how one of the guys is gonna have a night to remember and she wants you to join in. Things are getting spicy over here, everyone's ready to see who they are gonna hook up with. You still have a chance to come back and pick a key. There are some hot ladies here who want to show you a good time tonight. Fuck you, Rick Wilson, you manipulative asshole, and everyone at your lame party can go to hell with you, including my cheating wife. I hope you all die a horrible death. And then I passed out. Once I got inside the house, it only took me less than 20 minutes to pack 2 suitcases with enough clothes for a week or 2. I grabbed my laptop and shaving kit and loaded everything into the car. I rummaged through a couple of drawers until I found our marriage certificate, which I tore into 4 pieces. Then, I grabbed a hammer from my wedding ring and smashed it a few times until it was flat. Once I was done, I put the certificate and ring on Sharon's pillow, locked the front door, and drove off. Last night, I was trying to find a motel a little ways outside of town. But before that, I decided to drive by the Wunderlink's place one more time. Several cars had already taken off from the party, and there were a few people hanging out in the street, chatting in pairs. I didn't spot Sharon, so I figured she had either bounced with her new squeeze or ended up with Mr. Wunderlin himself. The motel I ended up crashing at was in a neighboring town. It wasn't anything fancy, but at least there was a parking lot in the back where no one could snoop around. I made sure I could find my car just in case someone actually wanted to find me. I locked it up, grabbed a 6-pack of Newcastle from the store next door, and settled in to watch some TV. The first couple drinks helped me unwind, and as I cracked open the third one, my phone started ringing. It was Sharon, but I ignored it since I knew she wasn't calling for a ride. I let it go to voicemail. Then, Frank called me out for acting like a child about the whole situation. He said Rick Wilson spilled the beans about what I said to him. How many times do I have to say it's no big deal? Tonight I'll just let this new guy me a few times, but that doesn't mean I'm a slut, I swear. Even if it hurts a little, I'll make it up to you in ways you can't even imagine. When I get home tomorrow, you probably don't care, but since you took our house key out of the bowl, they gave me a new one. The guy who got it is named Glenn. He seems really nice and he assured me that he won't make me do anything I don't like. He's married and has kids just like ours. Since you're at our house, I went to his place. So my husband, his wife, and her boyfriend are all crashing here tonight. They are gonna be in a different part of the house, though, far enough away so we don't hear each other when things start heating up. You know how loud I can get when you touch me. She was giggling like a schoolgirl, saying, "Honey, I know you're a little bothered by this, but I promise he won't do anything to me that you haven't done." I told Glenn maybe we should just stick to regular stuff. Why no? He's only seen me a few times, probably mostly in missionary. Glenn agreed to try something different, especially since this was my first time with another guy. He said he'll give me a ride home after we are done tomorrow. I'll make sure to shower and freshen up before I come home, so I'm clean and ready for you. No messy seconds for you, baby. Sweet dreams, my love. See you in the morning. Get ready for some hot action. Love you, Frank. I thought I was gonna die, never realized I was married to such a dumb and two-faced woman, Sharon. She's always been a bit flaky, but it was kind of cute. Now, her stupidity got out of hand and it ended up costing her life, her husband's, and maybe even her kids. She couldn't believe that I wouldn't take her back after she slept with some guy and flaunted it in my face. I'm sure everyone at the party had a blast at my expense. I was pissed, heartbroken, and embarrassed, but my wife didn't give a damn. I know I should have just ignored her message, but I couldn't resist. I called her back and she answered on the third ring. "Hey honey, Glenn and I just got in bed and are getting cozy, so I can't talk for long." Shut up, Sharon. This is probably the last time you'll hear from me. You have no clue what you just did, but you'll see soon enough. Enjoy sex with Glenn, because the consequences will be worse than you can imagine. Listen, Sharon, once you sleep with Glenn, our marriage is done. You got that? It's over. I never thought I'd say this, but I can't stand you. I love you more now than I ever have, but I can't wait to be done with you. My lawyer will hit you up next week. I hung up and 30 seconds later, she called back. I let it go to voicemail. She sounded like she was about to cry, saying, "Why are you acting like this? How can you say that to me? I'm your wife. Why can't you just let me have this night? Glenn and I are just getting started and you're messing everything up for me. I don't know if I can fully enjoy being with him now. Hey, we ain't getting divorced. I'll be back home in the morning so we can sort things out. I would have come back now, but I told Glenn I'd be with him tonight. Please try to understand, he's got my key and I promised him he could stay over. He really wants to do it now. Oh, I gotta go, Glenn's waiting. Oh, I love you, Frank, always will. Don't say our marriage will end when I do this with him. I can't do anything about it, babe, he's already here. Oh God, please, oh yes, please try to understand. I heard her whisper to him, "Leave me, Glenn, this is my night. See you in the morning, dear." And again, I couldn't resist, I called her back. This time the phone rang a few times before going to voicemail. It was clear Glenn already had her, so I left a message. After listening to your last voicemail, I can tell Glenn already has you and you're loving it. You can spend the night staring into his face. You have completely shattered my heart, Sharon, with all the new feelings he gives you. I will never forgive you for that. It's great that you were able to keep your promise to Glenn, a guy you just met, but you couldn't keep your marriage vows to the man who loved you and stayed faithful to you for over 10 years. I don't even recognize you anymore. You won't see me in the morning, and you might never see me again. But next week, you'll be getting served with divorce papers and I'll be charging you with adultery now that you're sleeping around. Hey, so with Glenn, what were you actually allowed to do? Just so you know, you're officially a cheating now. You can hook up with any guy you want, whenever you want. But just a heads up, you've lost me for good, and I'm not going back on that. Sharon didn't call me back. I know how turned on she gets during sex. She goes into this whole other world where nothing else matters, just her and the guy she's with. I don't know if she got my last message, but it doesn't really matter. Shit, our marriage was fucked. I ain't ever gonna forgive her after the way she disrespected me, embarrassed me, and made a joke out of our marriage. I chugged the rest of the six-pack, didn't want to spend the night picturing my wife in bed with Glenn, the guy who she used to be all mine. Sharon was so loud in bed, I could bet she'd be screaming for Glenn to fuck her, just like she did to me. The beer kicked in and I passed out. I woke up after crying myself to sleep, and it hit me hard, my wife had cheated on me. Now, I gotta figure out how to protect my kids, kick her out of my life, and make everyone at this party feel as miserable as I do. We live in Balloy, Mississippi, a gorgeous place on the Gulf Coast. Luckily, Mississippi is one of the states where cheating can be grounds for divorce, so maybe I can get out of paying child support and even get custody of my kids. I definitely need to find a top-notch lawyer. I took a shower, changed clothes, and called my mom at 7:30 to fill her in on what was happening. She was just as surprised by Sharon's actions as I was. My kids were staying with her for the weekend, and she promised not to say anything to them. I told her I would pick them up as soon as I figured out a plan. I figured that Sharon would probably be granted custody, at least for now. I didn't want to admit it, but she was a good mom to her kids and a good wife to me, at least until last night. After I hung up with my mom, I went to a diner near the motel to grab something to eat. I was just about to have breakfast when my phone started ringing. It was Sharon. I debated whether to pick up, but decided to let it go to voicemail. She didn't leave a message, so she called back right away. I ignored it, but she kept calling over and over until finally leaving a message on the 5th try. She was crying, saying, "Damn it, Frank, answer the damn phone. Talk to me, damn you. What do you mean I might never see you again? And what's all this about divorce papers? You can't leave me. Frank, I can't believe you. We have 3 precious kids who need us both. Why did you rip up our marriage certificate and trash your wedding ring? I gave you that ring on our wedding day and you promised to wear it forever. It's a symbol of our eternal love. I knew you'd be mad at me, but I never thought you'd take it this far. I love you so much, Frank. I just needed that special night with Glenn, and it was really special. He made me feel like a queen. Hey, Frank, I've totally forgotten what it's like to have a good time and laugh and scream at the same time. But last night was amazing. You're my man, my only man. I know how to make it up to you and get rid of your little grudges. Come home, Frank, so I can show you how much I love you. Please come home and bring me back." At this point, she started crying and it was hard to understand her. Damn you, Frank, why can't you see that I just needed one night with someone new to feel something different with another man? Someone actually wanted me and thought I was attractive. It felt good to know that another man desired me so much that he couldn't wait to have me. You have no idea how great it feels for a woman my age to turn a man on and make him want her. Please, friend, you need to understand that it was just sex. He only slept with me. Please, Frank, talk to me. I love you. You and our kids mean everything to me. Her voice was fading. It was just sex, Frank. Oh God, that's all it was. She was crying when we were just having sex, Frank. And then the message ended. I was standing outside the diner door in total shock. Had she been thinking these things our entire marriage? And now, after 30 years, it all came out. Sharon is still a beautiful woman at 55, 130 pounds, with shoulder-length dark brown hair and light blue eyes. She has a stunning figure. Her breasts aren't too big, but they are not small either. And yes, her hips have gotten a little bigger after having 3 kids, but she's still gorgeous. She's always turning heads wherever she goes, so why is she talking about needing to feel wanted by another man? I've always shown her how much I love and desire her. I bring her flowers, take her out on dates at least once a week, buy her sexy lingerie, and tell her every day how beautiful she is and how much I love her. And until last night, our sex life was great, or so I thought. We were intimate at least 3 times a week and I always made sure she reached her peak. What the hell did I miss? I've lost my appetite, but I walked into the diner anyways, found an empty table, and ordered scrambled eggs, toast, and black coffee. I barely ate any of my breakfast, but I drank at least 6 cups of coffee. I've never felt so lost, empty, and defeated in my life. I've heard people say they wish they were dead, and now I know what they mean. The only thing keeping me going is the thought of my kids. I have to live for them. I have to get through this hell that Sharon put me through and create a future for them. Just thinking about that fills me with, man, I know I can make it through this, I just gotta figure out how. Sharon blew up my phone like 20 times that day, but I kept sending her to voicemail. She was begging me to get it, but never once said sorry for what she did. All she said was she needed that one night and I had to be cool with it and support her. They just hooked up, like, 3 times that night and again in the morning. How can I not see that it was just a one-night thing that I should easily forgive? She forgot to turn off her phone and she was afraid I heard them start with Glenn. She hoped I didn't hear too much. I have to give her credit, she really knows how to stab me in the heart and twist the knife. I couldn't believe she was that dumb. The good thing is, I now have enough audio evidence of her cheating to use against her in court. I'm not sure if it will be enough, but it's pretty convincing and leaves no room for excuses. Tomorrow, I'm gonna find a decent lawyer and figure out all the info I need. I went to see my kids at my mom's place. She told me Sharon had called to check on the kids and ask if she knew where I was. Mom told her I was devastated because of what she did and didn't want to see or talk to her. Sharon started crying, saying I don't get it. Mom told her no man would understand how a wife could cheat with another guy. Sharon was looking at her husband like she wanted to ask if she should grab the kids, but my mom said it would be better for her to hang on to them for a few more days until things cooled down a bit. The kids were glad to see me, but they were wondering where their mom was. I told them she was tied up with a big project that was really important to her, so they'd be chilling with their grandma for a bit longer. We hung out, had some grub together, and then I gave them a big hug and kiss before heading back to my motel. Tomorrow's gonna be a hectic day. I had one last errand to run before calling it a day, well actually, just drove past it. I passed by my house and as soon as I saw it, tears welled up in my eyes again. I cried for what I had lost and knew I could never get back. It was a bit surprising to not see any unfamiliar cars parked in the driveway. Maybe some guy's car was in the garage, but since the only light on was downstairs in the kitchen, I knew Sharon was alone tonight. And then it hit me, I still cared about her. No, I wasn't gonna forgive her, she made sure of that. But it really stung to think she'd betray me like that, with another guy. I tried not to give in to the urge to snoop on her, but I couldn't help myself. I parked down the street and walked back to the side where I could see through the kitchen window. She was at the table with an empty bottle of Grey Goose next to her, hair all over the place and mascara smudged on her face. She was in a robe, head resting on the table facing me, eyes. When I saw her all closed up, it was clear she was bawling her eyes out, surrounded by a bunch of tissues. For a moment, I almost felt bad for her. But then I remembered all the crap she put me and our kids through, and my blood ran cold. I wanted to yell at her, but instead I just got back in my car and drove off. I did get a little satisfaction out of it though. Maybe she was finally realizing the mess she made. If she wanted sympathy, she could call her lover Glenn. Monday rolled around too soon, and I had a lot on my plate. Having breakfast at the diner today was just eggs and toast with black coffee. I finished it all. After that, I called my mom and talked to each of my kids, letting them know how much I love them and that I'll see them soon. Then, I rang up my office and told my assistant that I needed a couple of days to deal with personal stuff. I told her to call or text me if anything important comes up. She asked if everything was okay, and I said yes, but I'd explain later. Back in my senior year at Old Miss, I lived in an apartment with 2 roommates. Me and my close buddies Doug and Max became really tight over the years, even though we only hung out every now and then. I ended up getting a computer science degree, Doug got one in business administration, and Max became a lawyer. So, I hit up Doug to see if him and Max could meet me for drinks around 5. I told him I needed their input on something important, and Doug was down to reach out to Max and meet me at the lava bar by the beach. I got there early and Max showed up a bit later. After 5, Doug finally showed up 10 minutes late. We said hi, grabbed a table on the patio, ordered some beers, and cheered to ourselves. "What's up, Frank?" Doug asked. "Your phone call sounded serious." "Sharon cheated on me and made sure I knew about it," I told him, spilling the beans. "Man, this is tough," Doug said. "I can't believe she'd do that," Max chimed in. "Yeah, she did it like it was nothing, and she still thinks I'm the one overreacting. Can you believe that shit? So, where are you going from here?" Max asked me for a divorce and I want to fuck over Glenn and all those other idiots at the party. But most importantly, I want to try to get custody of my kids. "Frank," Max said, "it might not be easy unless she's a shitty mom. Like if she's bringing random dudes home and banging them while the kids are there, then you've got a case. But if she's a good mom, chances are she'll get custody and you'll be paying child support." I can deal with that, as long as... As far as I can tell, it's possible, Max said. The courts want both parents to be involved in raising the kids, as long as they are both good parents. What about money? Doug added. Sharon doesn't work, and I'm guessing you make a decent six-figure salary. How much do you have in your bank accounts, both checking and savings? Any investments or retirement accounts? I have all of the above, Max replied. I think it adds up to around 700 or 800,000, maybe a bit more. The court will probably split it evenly. So, half the house in custody goes to Sharon, right? But hey, if you can prove she cheated, and let's be real, you've got a good case, you might not have to fork over any alimony. Know what? I know this amazing divorce lawyer, like seriously top-notch. She's Maddie Simmons, part of my firm and one of the best family law attorneys in Mississippi. Want to meet her? I can set it up for you, ASAP. Meanwhile, Doug will look into safeguarding your cash. Shoot it over to me. Give me all the deets and I'll handle it. We had another drink, said our goodbyes, and I felt relieved for the first time since this shitshow began. On my way back to the motel, my mind racing with all the shit I needed to sort out, my phone rang. It was Sharon. I hesitated for a moment, but knew I had to talk to her eventually. So I pulled over and answered. What's up, Sharon? I cut to the chase and asked her straight up, what do you want? Frank, I want my husband to come home where he belongs. I could tell she was crying. Well, unfortunately for you, your little, as you called it, your little fun with Glenn makes it impossible for me to return home. She burst into sobs. Don't say that, Frank, don't you dare say that. I only spent one night away from you after 10 years and that is not grounds for divorce. Think again, adultery is definitely grounds for divorce in Mississippi. Why do you keep calling it cheating? It was just one night with someone new, just a fling when married. If a woman hooks up with someone else, even if it's just for a night or a second, it's cheating. I warned you that if you slept with another guy, it would be done between us, and I wasn't joking. Please, Frank, you can't do this to me, you brought this on yourself. Sharon, what the hell happened to you? Are you on drugs or did you have a mental breakdown? Or are you just really dumb? It seems like you were so obsessed with the idea of sleeping with another guy that you didn't give a damn about our kids or my feelings or what I wanted, you just had to go and do it. Well, congratulations, you did it and now you're reaping the consequences. I thought we had a good thing going, nice house, 3 awesome kids, and a great sex life. But then you had to go and mess it all up by sleeping with some random person and throwing it in my face. Frank, we've always been happy and we are happy now. I was just curious what it would be like to be with someone else for one night in our long relationship, just to try something new. You really messed up, you know. You caused so much damage without even realizing it. Your selfish actions completely wrecked our family in no time. You shattered our lives into a million pieces and there's no way to fix it. First of all, Sharon, you broke my heart. Even though you made it clear that you didn't give a damn. Remember me? Your husband, the man who loved you unconditionally from the moment he laid eyes on you. I work my butt off every day for us. You promised to give me and our kids the life we always wanted, but instead you betrayed me by running off to be with some random guy. You gave him things that you swore were only for me a decade ago, in front of God, our families, and friends. Then last night, you made it clear that you were going to do it anyway, despite my begging you not to. You basically told me to F***ck off and do whatever I want because it's none of my business. Frank, I never meant for things to turn out like this. I don't know why, but I didn't realize I was causing you pain. I just wanted to try something new. I love you, it was never about you. It was about what I needed, and that's what led you here. You removed your husband from the picture. All your cheating with Glenn last night was only about you and him. You didn't consider me or our kids. I deserved a special night just for myself. Well, lucky for you, Your Majesty, you got it. And it cost you your marriage to me, and most likely your happiness. Your family and friends might forgive you one day, but I won't forget what you did. I'm gonna spread the word about how you called me a brat for being mad about your cheating. Let's see how you like it when everyone knows you cheated on Glenn and how many times you did it. Oh man, Frank, please don't do this. My parents will be devastated if they find out. Tough luck, Sharon. You should have thought about that before you cheated. You made your own mess. You made your bed with and now you have to lie in it. You act like what you did was no big deal, like getting a traffic ticket or not returning a library book. But in reality, you threw away a strong 10-year marriage with a man who truly loved you, all for some late-night fling with a stranger who only cared about getting off. Do you really feel proud of yourself, Sharon? Glenn you 4 times and it cost you your family. I didn't have to lose anything, Frank. You should have loved me enough to stand by me and let me do what I wanted. There's not a single sane man out there. Like, seriously, who would be okay with their wife cheating just because she wanted to try someone new for a night? That's not how it works, and you should have known better, Sharon. What were you thinking when you did this? I didn't think you'd be this mad about it, Frank. I mean, what's the big deal about me being with another guy a few times? Just because I hooked up with Glenn last night doesn't mean I love you any less. I heard about couples getting freaky at Wunderlinks and it intrigued me. Why can't a husband? Listen, babe, I just wanted to hook up with someone new for a night of fun. It didn't mean I loved you any less, I just needed something different. I thought I could have some fun and then come back to you, but you didn't trust me. I kept asking you not to do this, but you just shrugged it off. See you later. Hey Frank, you've taken away the special bond we had for over 10 years. Those vows may not have meant much to you, but they meant everything to me. Our union created 3 amazing kids who adore us both. We were a family, just us against the world. And now you've given that part of yourself to someone else for a fling, just for a good time. You say it was just one night and I should just deal with it. I mean, seriously, you really messed up big time. You completely ditched me, your family, your promise of loyalty, and any respect you had for me. You wanted to be with another guy, and you did it. Congrats, you got what you wanted. But you know what, Sharon? You threw away everything you said you cared about. A part of me still cares about you, but I'm done being a part of your life. Frank, why are you so stubborn? Can't you see that it wasn't just some little thing? I needed to accept it and now I'm all in, forever yours. Things are different but also the same. Sharon, you're not just mine anymore. I don't get why you can't see that. I pleaded with you not to do this. I can't just forgive and forget that you betrayed me on purpose. This pain will never go away. I found out the truth and tomorrow I'm filing for divorce because of your cheating. I'm gonna name your lover Glenn in the papers along with anyone else I recognize from that little party of yours. Can you believe the drama that will go down when your cheating pals realize you're the one who caused their little group to fall apart and ruin their reputations? Screw you, Sharon, and take all your cheater friends with you. When I met with Maddie Simmons Esquire, I knew she was the perfect lawyer to help me sort out the disaster my life had turned into. She didn't waste any time and got straight to the point, asking me why I wanted a divorce and what I hoped to achieve. So, I basically told her that I was willing to split our stuff with Sharon and I was thinking of offering her our house instead of cash. I knew I probably wouldn't get full custody of the kids even if I filed for divorce, but I wanted to see them whenever I wanted and didn't want to pay child support. I played all the recordings I had of Sharon confessing to cheating with Glenn all night long. Simmons just kept shaking her head in disbelief at how clueless my wife was. She couldn't believe that I was upset about her little fling, and on top of that, she straight up admitted it in a voicemail that could totally be used against her in court. Simmons suggested we get a voice recognition expert to confirm it's her voice, but she said unless we get a crappy judge, the recordings should hold up in court. We spent the rest of the hour talking about what to do next. So, I was talking to my friend about this dude Glenn and his crew at the swinger party. She didn't think we could get any money out of them, but we could definitely expose their shenanigans and embarrass them enough to make them squirm. I was cool with that, so I gave her some cash and told her to serve Sharon ASAP. She said it wouldn't be a long wait and promised to give me a heads up before it went down. On Tuesday afternoon, I picked up my kids from my mom's and headed over to Sharon's place. So I went to her house and when she opened the door, she hugged and kissed all 3 of them real tight. Then she tried to reach out to me, but I backed away, which made her start crying. She begged me to stay, but I told her I couldn't. I thought it would be good for the kids to go back home with her, so I promised to pick them up on Friday for the weekend. Sharon looked like she was struggling, and I felt bad for her. But honestly, she brought all this on herself. The tough times she was going through weren't any worse than what she put me through because of her. Wednesday I went back to work because I knew I couldn't slack off. I needed the job now more than ever, not just for the cash but also to keep my mind off Sharon's betrayal. If I kept moping around feeling sorry for myself, I thought I might lose it, and I couldn't let that happen for the sake of my kids. On Thursday, I hung out with Doug and Max again, this time for dinner at the Oyster House. We had some delicious hand-shucked oysters and I sipped on a dirty martini while we caught up on my kids and stuff. So, after the divorce, Doug and I talked about how to stash some of my cash without getting caught. It wasn't gonna be a lot, but every little bit helps in the long haul, you know. We decided on a pretty straightforward plan to stir up trouble at the Swingers Club without getting into legal trouble for spreading lies. Max had a buddy who worked for the local paper, the Ballo Sun Herald. He was sure that if I tipped him off about where Vunda Link's house was and when the Swingers group met up, he could dig up some names for us. All right, so we got to talk about how the big old wife-swapping party was way bigger than anyone thought. If we publish some pics of couples sneaking around and maybe drop a hint about some businesses being involved, without actually naming names, it'll stir up enough drama with the religious folks to cause some serious trouble for everyone. I gave Max whatever cash I had left and he was all grateful, so we shook hands and went our separate ways. Till next time, my weekend with the kids was a blast. Man, it was awesome. We went shopping for some fresh threads, hit up Disney's Grand 18 movie theater in D'Iberville, and then spent the whole day at the beach swimming and playing frisbee. My kids are my everything, man. I promised myself I'd never leave them. But then on Monday morning, Max called me up. A buddy of his from the newspaper liked my story idea and wanted to take photos of the couples going in and out of Vunda Links. Gotta blur out everyone's faces though, you know. We are not dumb, and in a big city like this, it wouldn't take long for everyone to figure it out. If it all comes out, it's gonna be a big headline by the end of the week. I'm hoping for the best. Sharon kept calling me, begging me to come home, promising she'd do anything to make me forget about what she did. But she still never said sorry or admitted she messed up. On Wednesday, my lawyer told me Sharon would be served at our house on Friday morning. Doug figured out a way to stash away a chunk of my cash by putting it in my kids' names. Then Max gave me a heads up that his buddy at the paper did some snooping and found out the wife-swapping swingers were getting together again at Vunda Links on Friday night. He's gonna park his unmarked van across the street and snap pics of everyone coming and going. He wants to chat with me again about what went down at the party, and if all goes well, the story should be in the paper soon. Next week, I was feeling better than I had in ages. Friday rolled around and I was just waiting for Sharon to call after she got the divorce papers. And of course, I wasn't surprised when my lawyer rang me at 2:30 to say she'd been served. Not more than 10 minutes later, my phone was ringing again and the number told me it was my soon-to-be ex-wife. I smirked to myself, wondering what she could possibly want. I debated whether to send the call to voicemail, but ended up answering. "Hi Sharon, how are you?" She asked. "What the hell did you do, Frank?" she replied angrily. "You were being unfriendly, Sharon. I told you I was going to divorce you, and you said there wouldn't be a divorce. Then you went and slept with another guy. That's not just cheating, it's adultery." "I have to disagree with you, Sharon. Spending the night with someone who's not your spouse is considered adultery in Mississippi. And you're asking me why I'm mad at you. I love you, but all Glenn did was sleep with me a few times. It was just a fling. Sorry Sharon, it's my fault. I thought cheating was only when you slept with someone other than your man. How could I have been so wrong? It's done, Sharon. I told you not to do it, but you did anyway. Now you gotta face the consequences. And I bet you'll find out soon that this ain't the end of your troubles. Goodbye, Sharon. I still love you, and I probably always will." I could never trust her again, and there was no way I was gonna stay married to a cheater. I knew I should have stayed away from Vunda Link's Friday night party, but I couldn't resist the urge to drive by just to see what was happening. I also wanted to see if Sharon's car was there, even though I was pretty sure she'd missed the party. This time, her car wasn't there. Of course, she could have gone with someone else. And yeah, I knew they only allowed couples to come in, but they made an exception for her. I saw her once and who knows, maybe they'll do it again. I did notice a van parked across the street from the house, so I figured the reporter was lurking around somewhere. I wished him luck in catching them in the act. The results came in soon after. The next afternoon, Max's buddy, a reporter, called me asking for some info, which I happily provided. He mentioned he had snapped over 100 photos and spotted more than a dozen couples of the city's elite. Oddly enough, it didn't seem like the same couples every time. So, we were leaving the house like 2 hours after Max gave him a photo of my wife so he could spot her. He made sure she wasn't one of the people coming in or out of the Wunderlink house. He wanted me to spill the beans on what I saw and felt during one of those key parties. I tried my best to explain how they tossed their keys into a big bowl and how the guys would randomly pick one and leave with the lady who owned it. Even though I never actually saw that part go down, I still got the gist of it. So, my wife was telling me about this thing that was gonna go down, and then I overheard this other couple chatting about their past party experiences. Before we left, he asked if he could hint that he knew of a marriage that got messed up because of partying and their kids suffering from their parents' divorce. I just told him to wait until the names were called. Then, the story came out in the Sunday newspaper and all hell broke loose. So, this article was front page news, right? It had this big old photo of these couples, but their faces were all blurred out. Then there were, a bunch more photos spread out over 4 other pages, but even though they tried to hide their faces, it was so obvious who they were based on the cars they were driving and the clothes they were wearing. It was like the top dogs of the town, you know what I mean. By Monday, everyone in the city was gossiping about the whole thing and the wild parties. And get this, at least 6 priests were talking about it on the radio. There was this TV interview talking about all the drama in our Christian community, and the civic leaders were bashing the city for being all messed up. Lawsuits and counterclaims were flying left and right, big companies were losing customers, and some couples were even ending up in divorce court. Personally, I found it all pretty hilarious, like karma coming back around for all the crap I went through when my wife left me and my family fell apart. And even if people knew I was getting cheated on, I wouldn't even care. I got what I wanted. Man, all I cared about was getting revenge. Sharon kept trying to get me back for months, but it was too late. The divorce was official and I got joint custody of the kids. I have them during the week, and Sharon gets them on weekends. It's not ideal, but we are making it work. And because Sharon didn't fight me on anything in the divorce, I decided to cut her some slack and not share the audio of her admitting to cheating. Why I know when it comes to those couples who were into those key parties, some of them ended up getting divorced and hightailing it out of town. Maybe skipping town is a better way to put it. As for Sharon and me, she started seeing other people again. I still ain't sure she gets why I was so pissed off about her behavior, but hey, that's her problem. I wish whoever ends up being her future husband all the best. I went out with a few really nice gals, but never found one I wanted to settle down with for good. Some wanted to move in with me, but I'm still a bit hesitant. When it comes to giving a woman a key, make sure to subscribe to our channel so your side piece doesn't betray you. And don't forget to check out the next story, because this one ain't got nothing on it. If you're under 18, don't even try to listen to the next one. Just keep listening to the next one, the next one, the next one, the next one.